it ended. He is going to let us know case details. I don't know how good his tree is, but I know say so when Timmy Kran tree more, I'll do my best to do the breakdown after speaking to him. Send a Ghana phone ebehu asemno senior. So I'm going to make a quick turn. When I come back, I will get lawyer on the line for us to have the conversation. You're still watching with all due respect extended version. My name is Kevin Akobedu Taylor.
The NPP cannot be underestimated. You know it, I know it. They've been in existence for a long time and have been changing their names up till this day. The nature of who they are. Listen. Munjir, the nature of who they are, what they are, where they've come from, is something they are.
Hello?
Okay, hold on.
And they will be there for a long time. Let's not mimic their behavior. Let us reach into the...
All right, welcome back to the show. You're still watching with all due respect extended version. We have Anas lawyer, one of his representatives or his counsels, Evans Selassie Adeka. He's on the line to speak to us on this very matter. Good evening, lawyer.
Good evening, Kevin.
Thank you very much. My first question to you is a very difficult one. You speak English. You speak from your name, Selassie, you speak ever like me, Melakope. Do you speak the Akan language?
Yes, please, I speak.
Good.
Tree, yeah.
It makes it easy for you and easy for me too. Good evening and welcome back to the show. Today, we got news that Anas Arimia Anas, or Ghanani, or investigative journalist, his work, over the years, he has gone through a lot of court appearances, in Ghana and also in the United States. And the Abetin say a year Kennedy Agyapong or your former MP. A few years ago, announced the investigative piece by na FA football home, GFA, and at the end of the day, Nyoma Bibrisi, one of his colleagues or any investigations near the day, Ahmed Swale, FMU, Ehre. After that, series of Nyama Esi, a lot of information about out from Kennedy Agyapong, and a lot of allegations that were made against Anas. Say it wouldn't crumple Ahmed Swale, at the point Kennedy was insinuating on radio and on TV, say Anas Nimhubi. A lot of things were said by Kennedy Agyapong. He even went further to have a whole documentary session at his premises. Or Tunidin, who watches The Watchman, Obo video, trying to create the impression that whatever Anas put out initially as the original documentary, he has the original tapes that were hidden and all that. Now, fast forward, Anas felt to say there was a lot of allegations made. He thought he needed to clean himself because of the reputation he carries and also his work or ended up in New Jersey in a court. To make it easy for us, we are one of the lawyers for Anas, and I want to state again, Udini Evans Selassie Adeka, renowned lawyer. Bepacho, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today, say, a judgment in the New Jersey court, Abba?
Okay, Mr. P. The interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S. sometime in 2021.
Yes. And
that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there's if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, yeah, papa no, and someone just like what kind of about my client. So, like, you know, as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. And so, interesting enough, I mean, after reviewing the video, I you know, in our training, there's something that we are taught. So, in your case, case, no, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring, you know. So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now, my client is send them, you know. You so I tweet back court New Jersey. Yes, and say yeah, papa no video no so yeah, papa na and the moon some say or kase free fee New Jersey. Now when him say you move for so no the diaspora is very important. Obviously, what you do is testament to that fact. And you know, there was an audience that he spoke to. We're Ghana for. They all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, you know, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now, when he said, a lawyer. So obviously, he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And you know, there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Oded Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I pulled him into the research, and we drafted a complaint. And like a lawyer, so we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So you know, after the preliminary back and forth, you know, initially the case we sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes.
We filed suit.
That's what I'm
sometime
seeing.
I think
the complaint.
Yeah, sometime I think in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And you know, by law, no, there was a period by which Papa no Anka was responding with what is known as an answer. So Papa no one filed a response, and my case no call into default. Now, after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now, a case near Fale, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say a chrome or a chrome 4. The second one was or you would in terms of or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now, the third one, so say a serial killer in terms of Chinese for Bibi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal, the blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication, behind would the same biana, that means say biana no a trigger man and also no will be and I say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went undefended after the response time, now we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Okay. Atawemega Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And, you know, at that point, you know, we recruited them as counsel of record. And, you know, the case went, at that point, Kennedy's lawyers came in obviously, because near Beji judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default, you know. They argued that they had a solid defense, and I think right around then, no. And I almost got judgments from Ghana, no, almost release it. And I know no mujina so say almost defense to case I
because
New Jersey.
We need Ghana, so case no
exactly.
In terms of by almost case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that defamation is here, no. Say kind of the one for court. It's a separate case.
Yeah.
It's not to mean what to mean to Ghana and from the defending way. You still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, no, in this jurisdiction, no, the law is the same essentially because Ghana no. But you sound so free other countries. There are certain times that even though of presidential value, I just said, dead into me, so India, but to me, the two na senior, especially in cases, maybe you decided that type of a case. And you know, Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, you know, there are certain nuances, you know, sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, you know, Emra drafted complaints. You know, we were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes. In this case, no, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard.
Okay.
And you know, they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And, you know, we took it for what it's worth, and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year, and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday, and we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides, the difference between what happened with Ghana and Johannes said, trial by jury. It's judge, or judge back one I say judge me, no one I say judge me and send a video seminar. But normal people on the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and in this case, we started off with veneer. That's the technical word for when the prospective jurors are brought in. We're from a veneer. It's a veneer of 60 citizens, tax-paying citizens of the state of New Jersey, specifically Newark, New Jersey, and its surroundings, were brought in, and after what is known as Boadaya, which is the process by which they are questioned to see if they have any sort of bias or anything that will stand
for Ghana for your vetiomo. Say bia
your vetiomo just said obi asemu hu bia na so onimu bia asemu fan ho ana say obi wo hwa bia nyame bi osom no So we went through all of that. That was day one. That took from area to the end of the day. And so on Tuesday, we came to court and we had our opening statements. They had their opening statements. And then we proceeded to put on our evidence. And at the close of the evidence, the jury was instructed, judge, in this case, judge, Emrano. Na Omodiama, jury, no make church from making first. So paper inside. Aquaco decide the different deliberations. But okay. And there are some more about Thursday, about 4:30. yeah, the lecture on running now, Anna, there are some more 4:30. Into no air cranny, I dream say we be an 4:30. No, I caught a pump right around that time, which is I believe consistent with the practice I know it's consistent with the practice in Ghana. Into no, yeah, no cry. I just so Pepe Biatnana, yeah, take a deep breath and reflect on what has transpired during the past 4 days. And about 20 minutes later, we got word that the jury. Oh yeah, so as part of the defense, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts now at the buy and the civil claims now at the buy.
The defense.
His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano. He came to court and accepted truth as his defense.
Time I caught to say sa counting na mode bono no say on it and us back and forth, right? The only claim of making or say banter. I just say we can't wait and share or no, they're not all can you say ubi to be more almost tomorrow.
But all you do court media that was not
and your son of kind Ura court no G2.
Yeah, be or maintaining the position say no can or down standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically, remember to practice no crane D and onye boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that, no, or they move your child in it to who watches a watchman.
Mm-hmm.
But they are also by as on only defense, and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously, it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord with. So jury never bugui. About 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were a multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're to from based on address, voter registration data. And but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana
all against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no and also there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes on there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I will not say use their. I will not say use their common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge ever kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, oh no, only to be a and that's how it went. But what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer contrary, even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Anas as now working.
But Anas, Anas. Or also a very astute lawyer, and and some people walk cry a car on Jim Tumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position there. He wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, no, peace. Schedule say, and from this time to this time, no, staff that work no, we're dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, no, there's mandatory settlement conference. I bet say at this maybe by this time, no, we'll be say I'll grow, no, or they'll commit to the right senses and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire unfortunately, me and Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, these days we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Complaints the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million, $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at the before the mandatory settlement conference, or before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, papa about court. Now the lawyers just say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and he said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Mukodru Hono, Anas initially, ne kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the client and Anas Kasa say a woman saw $30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then any priority of going to court.
Yes.
But because of the experience, now unim sibi anyo matiano, uno client here and ask Kasa and say it would be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And I'll say, Okra no client and us, you did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh yeah, like I said, your lawyer at Awemega, New York.
Oh, yeah.
And also come and Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Wemega is there.
Yes,
D here is there. Crow is there. Yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to you, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So the whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
In spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, $10,000 to end the case.
No.
And I want to arbitrate and who said no, some way I'm sure so I can papers, So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us unanimously what they had arrived at. But, we decided to keep it under wraps because, there was a component, you multiply 18 million by 5, money do 90 million. For a total of about...
That was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah. because Mrama Kwame, yes, sir.
To do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say back to your board with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yana pay a coin no Nema Bakumi we ended up leaving that alone. A pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or see a two a boss na in terms of that and sana say one way or another I go back I could pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens maybe I bit me German and cafe. But at this time almost my court no say almost busa into war.
Okay. So at this point, you know, Oma Makoti who say Ombeba 80 million or Omo Pentiswo. How many days do they have to file that?
Okay. So at this point, no, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper, a judgment. I just say court reading seal better so.
Yeah.
That will take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, depending on how that motion goes, no.
Okay.
We would get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our ×5 of that 18 million, or a big manakaho. So depending on how that motion goes, no.
So for now,
yes.
18, no, Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, so much to grab back 10, we still have the opportunity to go for ×5.
That is 50. Okay.
Yeah, and to call extra 50 plus. Yeah, hypothetically, so much to back 10, we can go for another ×5.
You as a Ghanaian and also a lawyer and defending a fellow lawyer who is a journalist. This has been an experience. Do you want to share something with us when it comes to these kind of defamations and how comparing our judicial system back home and in the States? I'm not forcing you to condemn any, but I'm trying to find out from you. There are so many people in Ghana, they don't really understand how the American judiciary works because we are so used to the Ghana style of judiciary whereby things go a certain way. And I would say sometimes very, very slow. And sometimes you need to know something for even things to move the pace you want. In terms of how this case, how fluid it went, and comparing it to back home. I'm saying back home because I am more concerned back home, and especially when Kennedy presented a case which is the same defamation case, and he tried to use that as a basis that what he did was right. From your experience as a professional, I don't want to say what have you learned. What have you? What do you want to share something with us before you go?
Me share all the young people in Ghana. Me show them crying say, the country is a young country, so I tend not to criticize too strongly. But Oman and young people need to take their rightful position in the country because you know, my only thing is that young people see that it's wrong or they know it's wrong, they need to stand up for their rights. The country is still young, so I would not be pointing any fingers at anybody. But me American, I'm cool school from high school. I lawyer, and you know, I know America very well. And for the past 7 years, I was licensed in Ghana in 2014, and I've been practicing actively for the last 7 years in Ghana. See, I know the problems that we face. I think it's a systemic problem that allows people to hide in there to sort of engage in certain conduct because democracy, you know, say the system, justice system, if it does not guarantee justice, and then one day, you know, there's going to be a problem. And Mano, I like to, especially I like to direct my comments to all young politicians, those who have entered the fray. About 40 and less. Let's not, if we see things that are not right, let's not say because you benefited from it because your party we want to say party we mono. We're going to condone it. We all need to make sure that we are contributing to building a Ghana that we can all live in. And, I would like to end on that. The system is not perfect. There are many things that we can do to also improve it. I will not talk about the substance of some of the things, but I also think the judiciary in Ghana is burdened with a lot of work. There are certain things that exist here in the US that they don't have that perhaps need to be implemented. Some of these judges in this country, in the US, are ably assisted by law clerks who help them lessen their burden. But like I said, the young people in Ghana, we need to look at ourselves, because I've had judges tell me, say, I've suggested that, and I've had judges tell me, say, oh no, if a young person cry, but an office on here, who want to say, oh, leaky judgment, before the judgment is granted. So I will not be pointing fingers at, what happened in Ghana was a travesty of justice. I'll say that without mincing words.
The defamation, now Kennedy Winnie,
absolutely, because I'm now a solid, which back to the maybe can say, before a court can pronounce someone as a criminal, there ought to be a due process ought to be followed. And I have a publication that's going to come out on this subject in a very near future. For the courts to have called my client a criminal without giving him a criminal trial was a travesty of justice. And the court in New Jersey rightfully classified that as obiter is dicta. It can never be a criminal conviction.
So that was how the court in New Jersey, the Superior Court in New Jersey, actually addressed that particular.
Yes, because the will be criminal. The will be criminal. You can bring proof to say the person has been adjudged to be a criminal. You understand? So the Ghana judgment by an court jurors and when we brought a police clearance certificate at CID headquarters through the proper normal channels, we got it. It was sealed before we brought it to court, and that was giving more credence than what the judge said about Anas being a criminal, because that is the right thing.
How do you feel as a Ghanaian lawyer, a young Ghanaian lawyer standing before a U.S. judge, making a statement like this from a court in Ghana? I feel it's quite embarrassing. Like I said, our country is growing. We are the U.S. is 200 and something years old. We are 60 something years old. So I like to always look at things from an optimistic standpoint. I hope that this is going to be a lesson, because Ghana is not Ghana. Just by dint of even some of your papa no cry amount for Ghana. Ufa Uber Krumwa. I remember say in the middle of the trial, Uber be a driver and I catch him and say, I'm moving Ghana tourism country. Mano is young, but it's a country that we all need to protect and we need to guard zealously. And that starts from the delivery of justice, because no one should have to feel that they need to go outside the four corners of Ghana to get justice. Justice emanates from the people. And we have enough people in Ghana. About judges now, because I saw say recently, judges know TV, so they are educating people about the jury system. As part of our civic responsibility, it will also go a long way, along with amending laws to allow more juror participation in different kinds of cases now. Lawyer Evans Salasi Adeka, or somebody Esquire. So thank you very much, and I'll also say thank you to your colleagues that helped. In this case, Andrew De Gea, also Arthur Wemega Esquire, and Aday Crow. I would like to say I really appreciate your time. You've educated us and also made things very clear to Ghanaians.